Hey guys, welcome back to another video. In this video, we'll be unboxing and reviewing the Aputure C300D Mark II. Thanks for watching guys. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Follow us on our socials at Hypop or visit our website, hypop.com.au. Let's get into it. I've got with me here today the Aputure C300D Mark II. You can see it comes in a brand new bag. So this bag here has been redesigned. It's a padded protective case for the light and all of the accessories. It has the branding at the front here. It's got two zippers and also some carry handles as well as a shoulder strap that has the Aputure logo there. It also has a little window there, so in case you're transporting it and you need to place some ID material there, you can definitely place that in there. The bag itself is actually really sturdy and a high quality build. So on the bottom here, you can actually see that this surface here is an easy to clean splash proof surface. And the actual bag has protective corners here, so that prevents the actual case getting damaged if it's ever in transport or in storage. So let's have a closer look at what's inside. Okay, so it opens up really nicely here. You've got some straps here that ensure that the entire opening flap doesn't just fall down, because you've got some zipper components here, compartments. You've got the it's sort of like a mesh material, and inside at the top here we've got a few bits and pieces. We've got the product manual, some Aputure stickers, and also the remote control. So this remote control is the RC1 Plus remote control. So this, you've probably seen this one from previous models like the C120D Mark II, HR672 LED panels. So it's the same remote control. It's good to see that they've kept it all within that one system. So in case you need spares, you can get them from your other Aputure lights if you have any available. Also inside here, you've got a few other spare bits and pieces. It looks like a spare locking knob and just some other little Aputure cards. Now inside the actual casing here, what's really nice is it's nice and it's got like a nice soft interior, so it doesn't scratch any of your components, because a lot of these parts are obviously made from metal or aluminium. You want to protect your gear. And inside here you've got Velcro compartments that you can sort of just remove if you want to, which is really nice. They're all padded. They've got little cutouts here to fit certain parts of the light, so you know where they go and when you need to refit them. You can do that. So first and foremost, let's just get the light here. We got the light. So this is the main part that we're looking for. Really looks nice and sleek. It's even got some new red designs here compared to the previous model, which was all black. So you got the light. Now we've got a reflector here too. So this is your standard Bowens reflector. It's got the Bowens fitting here, which fits the light. But on the inside here, you can see they've redone the entire sort of standard reflector. Instead of a 60-degree angle, it's actually narrowed a little bit down to 55 degrees, and that allows it to actually improve the output. Supposedly it's three times the output when using this reflector of the previous C300D, so that's a great inclusion. It's got this little foam padding here just to protect it and keep the reflector in shape. Now inside here we've got a few cables, so some really high quality power cables there. And we've got the other cables that are required to connect up the controller box to the light. And we've got a quick release clamp here. So this clamp here is similar to one of the Manfrotto super clamps. And it's basically one that you can clamp onto a light stand, a C stand. And also it's got a little quick release plate here at the back. So this quick release plate here mounts to the controller box, and you can actually quickly mount the controller box to the clamp and release it if you need to reposition it, for example. And lastly is the controller box. So this controller box here, it's great. It's a really high quality build, and what's happened is I think they have actually put together the previous control box as well as the power adapter all into this one component here, which means it's a little bit more streamlined, the entire design. So this controller box has your battery plates on either side, so you've got your V-locks there on both sides. And you've also got that mounting part there, which you use to mount the quick release. And apart from that, you've just got bits and pieces of foam just to protect all the little components for the entire lighting kit. I've got both the first model, the C300D, as well as a C300D Mark II set up here on some stands. Let's go through some of the physical changes firstly. So initially you can see the front here pretty much looks the same. You've still got that COB chip as your single light source, as well as the Bowens mount at the front here, which means that you can definitely mount Bowens modifiers such as softboxes, barn doors, snoots, reflectors, and a whole range of different modifiers. You've got pretty much almost an identical design and shape, but just a few minor changes. So you've got a handle here at the back. The handle's mounted at the top instead of out the back here of the previous model. And on the side here, you can see the yoke bar. This is the previous yoke bar and the yoke bar of the new C300D Mark II. This one here is a 360-degree yoke bar. So that means that you can actually swivel the light all the way around. So if you need to reposition your light for any reason, you can most certainly do that. Whereas the previous model, you weren't able to do that basically. So it would hit the bottom there. So that's a great feature that they've added. It's just usability. Obviously that makes things a little bit more user-friendly. Now going towards the sides here, you can see obviously the design's changed slightly. The casing has some red design elements to it now. And towards the back here. So the back here, you've got your inputs for your power and your control box. It's repositioned, so it was previously positioned sort of towards the top here of the back, whereas now it's just at the back panel there. Now on the inside, just a few minor changes, which you can probably see from the underside here. You've got two fans, and you've also got two fans on that side, so that remains the same. And you've also got, your heat sink that you can see from the top panel there. You can see all the, the cutouts here to allow for a better cooling system overall. And you can see that on the top here, so that pretty much remains the same. You've also got your locking release knob here just for your modifiers all at the top. So in terms of the design, it's relatively the same. Now running through some of the differences between the two lights. Firstly, it was the 360-degree yoke bar that we mentioned. Now there's also an improvement in the brightness. The brightness has improved by 20% compared to the previous model. You also have the updated control box. So this control box, you can see here, has definitely been streamlined. So you've only got one control box component here for the new Mark II, whereas the previous model you had the separate control box which had the V-Lock battery mounting points there, as well as the power adapter or the power box separately here. So this had a fan also inbuilt. So this new control box design is a passive cooling system, which is fanless. So that means that it's obviously not producing a lot less sound than the previous model. And on top of that, you've got Sidus link control through an app that they have. So this is something you can download from the App Store. And what the Sidus app does is actually allow you to create different lighting effects or controlling the effects through Bluetooth. And you can do that with multiple lights, so not just a single light. You can actually control the light up to 400 meters away, or about 1,300 feet. So you can do that only by daisy chaining a few of the lights about 80 meters apart at max. But that does mean you have more versatility in terms of where you can position the light as well as control it wirelessly without having to go up to each of the lights. Through this app, you can actually update your firmware, as well as control the output and the lighting, as well as the effects. So there's some effects that are included now, which the previous model didn't have. All the new Mark II models, including the C120D and the C300D now, have the effects. So we'll go through those effects when we go through the menu. On top of the power output, you've got these new Nutric cables. So these Nutric cables are just sturdy, really high quality power cables to make sure that you always have a continuous power supply compared to the previous model, which were pretty much just your standard power cables. Now, some other crucial lighting changes that they've made to the C300D2 include the way that you control the output. So you can do that from 0 to 100% now in 1% increments. So you have that finer tuning control compared to the previous model, which was only 10% up to 100%. So you can fine tune your light a little bit better there. And lastly is your TLCI and CRI rating, which is 96 plus on the Mark II compared to a CRI rating of 95 plus and a TLCI rating of 96 plus on the previous model. Now, Aputure have thought of everything, and basically that quick release plate and bracket that's included with the package mounts onto the control box, and you can see there it's actually quite easy to mount. So firstly, what you need to do is when you receive it, it's usually released like that. What you need to do is just twist it over to the left to lock it into place, and that allows you to mount it directly to a stand. So I've just clamped this to a light stand here, and how to mount it is actually just get the bottom part in first, slide that in, and the top just locks into place. And when you hear that lock, that makes sure that the actual controller box is secure to the stand. And to release that, all you need to do is just the reverse, and that comes straight off. So that's really great. You can mount that onto a light stand just like this, or a C stand, and that gets it out of the way. And then you can actually control the entire light fixture through the app or through the included remote control in the package. I've got the C300D Mark II set up here on a stand, as well as connected up to the power supply here. So this is the controller box, the new controller box that's a streamlined design. You can see here, you can actually mount it. There's a few stands that they've included on the side of the control panel here that allows it to be mounted horizontally like that. So if you have it up on a stand or along the ground, for example, you can definitely do that without obstructing any of the controls, so you can still access the controls up here. You've got this new power cable here. So this is that Nutric PowerCon cable. It's really high quality build. The cable is, like really high quality. You can tell that won't sort of cut or tear. And you've also just got these new connection points here that goes straight in. So all you need to do is just actually line that up and make sure that mounts in there, and then you twist to lock. And that's really secure to ensure that you have a stable power connection. And just to release that, all you need to do is just hold down on that yellow tab and screw to unlock. So that's a great inclusion, whereas the previous one would be prone to disconnecting the power if it's bumped, or perhaps just over time, if it's got mounted up high, that may disconnect. So that's great that they've included that. Now, running through some of the changes to this new control box, it's a complete redesign for Aputure. So you saw in the previous model, it had the two components. Now it's all streamlined into one. You've got the V-lock mounting points for the batteries on either side. So one on the left side and one on the right side. And you can actually control the light or operate the light with the V-lock battery and use only one battery up to 50% output for the light. So that means that they've redone the entire power control and management system of this controller box, allowing you to operate the light if you've only got one V-lock battery in hand. So obviously, if you want to utilize the full power, you'd want to use two batteries. Lastly, at all the connection points, so you've got the control point here, which is the input for the cable towards the light, and you've also got this really nice braided rope cable that's used for hanging, or you can use it to secure, perhaps looping that around the stand before you mount the light onto the stand. So it's you've got a fail safe there. And on the bottom here, you've got your DMX in and out controllers, which are your 5-pin XLR cables. So let's run through some of the menu options and see all the different lighting effects that's included with the C300D Mark II. So jumping into the menu really quickly, let's firstly turn on the light. So you can see the screen there turns on, and on the screen you've got all the different parts. So you've got the intensity, you've got the power supply and how much power you've got left. When you've got it plugged into the AC, it actually says greater than 2 hours. You've got the different Bluetooth or wireless options that you have enabled at the top right, and on the bottom right here we've got the dimming curve. So that there is how the light dims. You can select different options, and I'll show you that in the menu. And lastly, it's just the channel and group there. That's for your wireless settings for your remote or app. So let's jump into the menu. And if we go right to the top here, firstly, you've got dimming, the DMX mode. So DMX mode allows you to set the DMX address if you're using the DMX in or out ports there. Jumping back into the menu, you can see the next option is dimming curve. So that was what I was talking about earlier. You have 4 different options here. You've got EXP, you've got log, linear, and you've also got S curve. So S curve is just the way that it steps down. So this dimming curve is basically just how the actual light dims, and you can set that option. And when you do, so let's say for example, we'll change that to S curve and we'll jump back into lighting. You can see that option has now changed in the bottom right there. Now jumping into the next option, we've got fan mode. So the fan mode, you have 2 options. You've got auto and we got force. So force is basically like a fan force, and that just has the fan on at full operation and full speed. You've got auto, which controls the fan automatically, and that actually turns on automatically when it gets to about 45 degrees. And so usually we'd set that on auto because you just want to minimize all the fan noise you get from the light. Next would be studio mode. So studio mode, actually, you've only got two options. You've got yes and no. And what studio mode does is control the way the light turns on when it receives power. So if you leave it on yes, when you actually unplug the light and you release the power, this is still connected to power, and then you plug that back in, you can see the light turns on immediately. So if you turn that to no, when you plug in your power cable, even though it is still plugged into the power, it won't turn on just like it did just now. So that's for studio mode. And you've got Bluetooth reset. So this is if you're connecting to your smartphone or to a tablet through the Sidus Link app. You can actually select whether you want to reset that. If you've got it connected to multiple devices and you're just wanting to reset the entire settings, you can do that through this. Now, next option is language. So you can jump between two languages here at the moment. You've got English and you've got Chinese, and you've also got USB mode. So USB mode is if you're wanting to use firmware updates, you can do that via the USB port here on the side. So that there is actually, there's just a little seal here that you can remove to expose that USB port, so you can plug in a USB drive or a thumb drive to actually update firmware. So you can also update the firmware of the controller box as well as the light, and Aputure release these from time to time. And if the last option here is just exit, so that exits back out into the main screen there. So the main screen, you've got 4 different options here for the main screen. You've basically got your lighting, which we're already on, which is why when we press down, it doesn't do anything. But if you hold it down, it actually jumps into effects. So that jumps into the effects menu. We'll look into that later. And you've got channel, so it cycles through channels 1 to 3. And then you've got group, which cycles between channels A to D. And then you've also got wireless. So wireless, you can see there, it says Bluetooth at the moment. And if you press down on it, it says off, or you can put it on 2.4G as well. So we'll probably leave that on Bluetooth because we can show you how to set up using this Sidus Link app. And yeah, it's basically as simple as that. Now jumping into the effects really quickly, you've got a few different lighting effects here. So when you hold down, firstly, you've got your strobe effect, you've got explosion, paparazzi, fireworks, fault bulb, and just lightning, TV, pulsing, and back to strobe. So you've got quite a few different lighting effects there, which is similar to how the C120D Mark II has those features as well. So it's great to see they've included that with the C300D Mark II. It just makes things a lot easier. You can actually set those up in the app. So that means that you can set up different scenes and presets, so you can have these all ready to go when shooting on set. So that's a really great feature to include. So besides that, that's basically all the menu options there. So just running through the way to use the app, which is called Sidus Link. You can download that from your app store. And to spell that, it's S-I-D-U-S, Link. So jumping into the app, when you load the app, and once you've installed that, the first thing you see is log in and sign up. So you have 2 options there. The sign up process is relatively easy. However, they do ask quite a few questions, which you can skip eventually. So just basically type in your email address as well as enter the verification code, which gets sent to your email address, which will be a 6-digit code. I've already created an account, so I'll just quickly jump into my account here. Now, once you've entered your account, what you'll see is a demo scene, which Aputure have already sort of set up there in the app. You've got all your different options here. You've got lighting control systems and CC groups. So you want to jump into lighting control systems, and you've got 3 options. You've just got your regular scenes up here. You've got casually shared. So those are shared scenes between users, and collaborated. So that means other users can also, join together and collaborate with different presets and settings for the scene. So perhaps you've got, you know, other camera operators or lighting operators that are wanting to share their scenes with you. So to jump into your first scene, all you need to do is just click that plus button and it creates a scene. It just numbers it scene 1, and all you need to do is actually just, you can rename it if you want to. So let's just call it test. And then you can press those 3 little dots and it shows you all the different options. So you can delete it, you can collaborate or casually share it, which puts it into those different sections of the app. Now just pressing down into the actual scene that we've called test, you can press the little green plus button there. And what it does is it finds any light fixtures that are around you. So it looks like it's already found the C300D Mark II here. You just basically select that and click setup. And you can see a little setup loading screen comes up. Hangs there at 99% for a little bit, then 100% success. We hit OK. And now we've got that all set up. So you can see the fixtures set up there. You can obviously add more fixtures if you want to. They're adding more app controls to other lights in the future. This is actually the first light that Aputure's added this app control to, but future models of their lights will all have this, which is great. And from there you can actually control it on and off, and you can see it actually controls the power here on the menu, on and off, and then controlling the intensity of the light. See that? And also setting all the different fixtures. You can actually set, so when you click down on the fixtures, you can actually set, you know, the intensity once again. This goes into more detail, so you can actually have presets for quarter, half, or full strength lights. We'll put that back down. And you've also got the dimming curve, which you can set on the app here. And when you swipe over to the right, you've actually got all the different effects that we were going through. So you've got fireworks, you've got your fault bulb, and all the different lighting effects that we were just going through earlier. You can set that on the app, and then you can hit play to actually get that started, and you can also stop it through the app. So that means you have a lot more control here. And then as well as all the fixtures and fixture control there, you also have preset controls. So you can jump into presets, you can set all the different effects, you can set the different settings for just the white light, and you can save it to presets. So at a touch of a button, you can just press that and it'll jump into the setting that you've saved already. And yeah, that's basically just how you control the app there. Now, in terms of the usability, you've also got the remote control that's included, but I find that the app itself, because everyone has a smartphone nowadays, or if you have a tablet specifically for your shoot, then it's a lot easier to be able to control that, especially if you're like a one-person, you know, setup and you just only got yourself and perhaps maybe just an assistant. It's a lot easier to control multiple lights through this app rather than having to, you know, go up to the light and place the settings on them before you actually, you know, go to use them. So it's a really great feature to add in terms of, you know, usability for Aputure's new range of lights. It's rumored that Aputure are releasing a controller box which will actually pair up to some of their older lights and allow you to use that, incorporate that into an entire lighting system through that Sidus app link. So that's really great that they thought that far ahead to be able to use all of the different lighting options, especially for people who've invested into previous lights. Besides that, deciding whether the C300D Mark II is for you comes down to 3 factors. It's price, uses, and also the versatility. So versatility, firstly, you can definitely use this light as a video light, obviously, as well as a photo light, because it is a continuous light essentially. Allows you to use that for any continuous lighting shoots, whether you're a photographer or a filmmaker. It's great because you can use the Bowens lighting modifiers, so you can use big softboxes, whether you're using them for your strobes, your flash strobes already. You can use that with the C300D Mark II. And you know, all the different lighting modifiers that are available for photography will be used with this light. In terms of uses, deciding whether all the different functions that it has here will be perfect for your setup. You can use all the different lighting effects as well as the amount of output you get with the light. You know, having more is better than not having enough. So it's great to see they've released a Mark II version of their popular 300D. It's rumored that they're also releasing a 600D. So it's great to sort of you know, have these options in terms of output as, you know, your sets get bigger and just being able to you know, use your lights for all different scenarios. And in terms of price point, it's priced here at about 2,000 Australian dollars. which is fairly steep and it's on the higher end of the market. So it's up to you to decide whether or not that will, you know, factor into your sort of budget as well as your lighting setup. If it were me and I just needed to go for one light, I'd definitely be looking at least the C120D Mark II or the C300D Mark II as my go-to light for my setup. We've changed a lot of our lighting setups here on our YouTube channel, and having sort of a single light source that's strong and versatile and has all these different lighting effects really helps improve our production quality. So if I was to go for one light, I'd probably be looking at the C300D Mark II as well. Now, for more videos just like this, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. You can view some of our previous Aputure unboxings and reviews. We'll link them down in the description below. And also don't forget to follow us on our social media channels on Instagram and Facebook at Hypop, and visit our website, hypop.com.au. Thanks for watching.